Welcome back. We continue with Good Morning Kenya, and we want to move on to our health segment as we always do every Tuesday. We are still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jade Wambui. Now we move on to this conversation, and this is something that, almost everyone is talking about, and this is all about mental health and wellness. Looking at the stats that are out there by the World Health Organization, globally speaking, looking at the age group between 10 and 19 years of age, 1 in every 7 of them experiences a mental disorder, and in total they account for 13% of the global burden when it comes to mental health illnesses. 10 to 19-year-olds, 13% of them compose of the global burden. Looking at depression, anxiety, and behavioral disorders, they are among the leading causes of illnesses still among this age group. And between looking at the age group of 15 to 19, suicide is the 4th leading cause of death globally. Now, bringing this conversation to the Kenyan space, for the last, let's call it 6 months, we have seen a sad situation when it comes to our schools. So many schools have had to close down completely due to student unrest, and the sad cases we have also seen students burning and destroying school properties, all of them saying, citing various reasons as to why they have gone ahead and done that. Just this past week, we did see Iku boys burn down 3 dormitories. But why is that the situation? That is the group we want to focus on today on this conversation on mental illnesses and mental health on the other, on the other hand, focusing on teen and young adults and understanding how we are doing and what more we need to do as a people. And with us in studio this morning, we have 2 brilliant ladies who are going to be helping us with this conversation. To my immediate left, we have Karira, who is a youth and teen mentor. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Jane. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And also to my extreme right, we have Chege, who is a psychologist and transformational coach. Good morning, Mercy. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Jane. Thank you.
All right. Now, let me start with you, Mercy. Just when you talk about mental health and wellness, most of the time we always focus on the adults. But what is your general observation when it comes to mental health and wellness in line with the teenagers and the young adults? And we could start by just giving us the general definition of what mental health is.
All right. Thank you so much. Mental health is the state of mind that you are able to do things without being in a state of indecisiveness. That is just a layman's definition. Or we usually say when you have your mental health at check, everything else is able to run in the right way. Yes. Because you are able to make decisions, you are able to respond to issues the way they are supposed to be responded to. You're able to know what you're supposed to do next. Generally, the things we do every day. So you've asked a question about the teens and mental health, and yes, we focus on the adults. Yeah, it is true. We have always been focusing on the adults, but on that case of the adults, I'll say people focus on the adults because we think that we are the controllers of the children or the teens. But it is good to know that everyone is an individual. Everyone is an individual as themselves, and mental health starts from right even before you are born. Actually, it is defined. How do we end up with mental illnesses or disorders? It is not, most of the time it does not happen when you are an adult. This thing starts way before you are born. The prenatal, the perinatal, and the postnatal times of our life, that is where we are shaped. Yeah, like maybe I could give an example. If today we are talking about teens. So many of us, or so many children, were born by teens by moms who are teens.
Yes.
You can imagine a teen is a child, basically, as in they are not well developed, they don't have the required skills to raise a child. So imagine you're a teen and you raised a child. How did you raise that child? So how you raised that child will contribute to the way they come out in future. Yeah, maybe you were not able to take care of that child, so the child was neglected. And it's not only by a teen mom. We're just mentioning teens because we are talking about teens and youth.
Yes.
even as an adult, today I give birth to a child and I'm not in the very good state of mind, or I'm not in the in a very good area with my life at that point. That child is going to go through so much, like neglect yourself. You're not going to be also taking care of yourself the way you should because you're not well. Like your nutrition, what will this child be feeding from? And that time we're talking about it is exclusive breastfeeding, and that child is feeding from what you're feeding. Maybe you're under substance abuse, you're transferring that to the child. It interferes with the development of the body and the brain, and that is the software that is being instilled in that child. So what happens, why we focus on the adults, these things show up in future, like so many teens right now,
and yet they started at such a tender age.
They're banning schools and doing stuff. Those things, these things didn't just happen to them overnight. You will find out if you sit down with those teenagers and young adults and take their history. You will be so shocked about how their life has been.
So this unrest we are seeing is sort of a manifestation of a deeper lying problem.
Exactly.
All right. Now let me come to you, Catherine. Still looking at the same question. 13% of the global burden when it comes to mental illnesses is focusing on 10 and 19-year-olds. I mean, a 10-year-old, one would be like, nini na stress a 10-year-old. But what is your general observation?
That's a very good question that you have asked. Nini na stress the 10-year-old. Like, if we can reflect where we are. Last year, when our children were out of school because of COVID, the 10 years and the 19 years, they went out to explore. They went out to experiment, and we exploited them. And then they come back and they want to talk to mommy, and mommy is not there, or daddy is there and is the one that's exploiting the child. What you need to understand is that these children have gone through a lot, and they have bottled it in. And for we that are supposed to be mentoring them or teaching them, we don't know how to cope with it because also we are a depressed society. What I want us to understand is the characteristics of a teenager. The teenagers, they are trying to figure out. Unfortunately, this is a time that they can be figured out. And we cannot separate the future with what they are doing now. What everybody needs to know is take responsibility of my actions, because my actions are speaking not only to the outside world, but also speaking to me. And I keep saying I would want us to be able to understand these children. They love 5 things. They love a lot of drama. But they assume that this drama, I'm going to be dramatic today and separate it with my future. They have to own and know that whatever I do, I normally say, as I mess my today, I mess my future. Then they also love lies. And they tell me these lies, they are coming from because mommy does not understand me. So we have to get to a point where we have to openly communicate with our children. It's not that we don't understand you. We want to protect you because also the environment is very hostile. And then, you know, Jane, we are parenting in a time where there are so many voices and so many things that are targeting these small children. And these voices do not care the shape these children will take. Then they also want to copy each other. Like now you have said Eco Boys banned the other day, Naivasha Girls banned. The question is, why are they banning? Why are the schools banning concurrently? They planned. As a teens mentor, they told me, Madam, we don't want to be in school by 3rd of December. We want to be home. But again, we are telling these children, your way is not the highway. We must sit as stakeholders and listen to each other. Yes, we have seen the fires. What are the fires telling us? Yesterday, I was asking myself a question. Must all schools ban for the stakeholders to know? Even the politicians, Jane, they are telling us the crowd is speaking. We are ignoring that these children are speaking, and unfortunately, the children are speaking in a very bad way because they're speaking in a criminal way. They are criminals now. They have banned schools. Then they also want to fashion. They want to fashion very well. They want to be fashionable, and then they love fun. Like now they are protesting, we want to come home. They are coming home to want to have fun. And we want to tell them that fun is not in crime. and there is no thrill in immorality. So what we need to do is help these children understand themselves, understand that we grown-ups, we were once a child. Talking about mental wellness or mental illness on the negative side, what we do today is going to affect our future. Between 10 and 19 years old, the 10 one is not even a teen, they are preteens. But again, Jane, from where we sit, we know the 10-year-old in Kenya gives birth, and we only know a girl has given birth. We don't know of the boy, and we imagine that the girl has given birth. Where is the boy? So the boy also must be suffering a lot of trauma because they made somebody pregnant and nobody knows. You can imagine it's a secret that you're holding with yourself and it is tormenting you. And Jane, the scars that we don't see take longer to heal. So what you need to do is encourage the children to speak out. And for we that are listening, let us not listen to condemn. Let us listen to help them. Jane, when we are looking at children, I'm a farmer. There is arrowroot and potatoes. You know how you uproot one, but the other one you have to go drill down. We must drill down to get to the problem of what is happening. And I'm assuming as good Kenyans, are we going to ignore the school fires? Come January, we expect the children to behave as normal, and because then what happens when you sweep your house and you bury the dirt underneath the carpet? What happens is a mountain will come. You're going to fall on that carpet. So we must now sit and ask the children, what are we saying? Parents, what is happening? And you know, Jane, the 10 months out of COVID, out of school because of COVID. These children going to know mommy is married to daddy, but mommy has somebody else they call babe. So they have a lot of things, and those things, they have to come out. So we must make sure that we encourage them to talk. I normally call it a hot talk, where we are very honest, where we are very open and very truthful with them. We drill down so that we can salvage them.
All right. Now, let me come to you, Mercy. Do you think we misunderstand our children?
Well,
as parents, as guardians?
Well, Catherine has said so many things. And she's mentioned about that time children were home and they were seeing so much. And we usually think they don't understand. On Saturday, I happened to be in a training, and our facilitator shared a very good insight about how, as a leader, parents are leaders. How do children learn? And he talked about a man who had so many monkeys, and he had a cook. So he had to go for some time. This cook was limping. So when he went for like 3 months, when he came back, all the monkeys were limping. And he asked the cook, what is happening? What did you do to my monkeys? And the cook said, I didn't do anything, boss. Monkey say, monkey do. So this is it. Children have been observing what we are doing. Children have been watching these things. We have left them to the social media, to the television. They are learning. And at that time, Catherine has mentioned something, that mommy has someone at the side. Daddy has this. That time, we didn't know our children, they didn't know us. They got to know so much. And they also were able to interact so much with the other children, so they got to know so many things. And she has also mentioned about this is the time they are knowing so many things and learning. So imagine you have gotten a lot of information from all over and you want to try it at the same time. Remember, they usually say the teenage is it's a crisis age. It is not. I wouldn't call it crisis. It is a season of growth that is so different from any other time. This is when they're experiencing body changes. They're experiencing, even some of them have never been away from home.
It's now crucial more than
exactly.
Critical.
Now they are in the boarding schools. They've never been away from home. That is their first freedom. Yeah, yeah. So maybe I could say a few things so that we don't look like we're misunderstanding our teens. First of all, like now children are coming home.
And actually, I'm told we have to bring the conversation to a close. So maybe you could give us the recommendations when it comes to looking at this crucial, we wouldn't call it critical or a crisis stage, crucial time period in their development. What are your recommendations?
Wow. Thank you so much. I look at it like this. Right now they are coming home and we have seen what has been happening. What is the right thing to do? this is, for me, I would urge parents, this is not the time when they come home, the first thing you do is ask for their, I even start asking, where have you been burning schools, where are even your results or something. I would tell them, first show love. Let know how they have been, be with them. Let them know they're important than anything else that has been happening.
Okay.
Yeah, number two, create now time to be with them. And sometimes they look like they're rebelling. If you say like they're going away, it is you to bring them closer, but don't force it. Maybe what you can do is cook a meal with them, get into their time. Sometimes I see like they love watching movies. Watch a movie with them so that they see you are interested with what we are doing. It's not always the other way. Yeah. The other thing is take care of yourself. You know yourself. How are you doing things?
Yes.
Because they're watching. And I would like to say, like the monkey see, monkey do. The children and teens, they learn well by seeing what you're doing. They like role model. So most of the time, they are just a reflection of us.
All right. Catherine, also your
Jane.
recommendations, looking at the fact that you interact with so many of this population in this particular age group.
I want to help us understand children. The word of God says that children naturally do silly, careless things, but a good spanking. So what
They don't know better.
Yeah, it's natural. Yeah. Silly, careless combination, you can imagine. Silly, careless things naturally. So what we want to do as parents is have forces where we must connect with our children. Jane, when I've connected with you, you're able to read my moods. Even when I wake up and I slam the door, that will not tour you because you already know we are connected. When we have connected, Jane, we'll be able to correct these children. And we cannot separate parenting from discipline. We have to discipline and disciple. Thank you. I see your face agreeing. We have to discipline and disciple. Then as we have connected, we have corrected, now we can cooperate together. Because these children have a future and they have an appointment with their destiny so that they can know they are not doing it for mommy, they are not doing it for the CS of education, it's their life, and they are also taking care of their mental wellness. Then we can now be able to communicate, because communication is the oxygen of every language, of every relationship, including why they want to come home. And Jane, I know they are coming home for Christmas. I want to tell them that they should not allow a fool to kiss them or even a kiss to confuse them, because they have an appointment with their destiny. Our children think that without sex they will die. Allow me to tell them, nobody will ever die for not having sex. There's a time for everything. So parents, take care of those 4 C's. Let me repeat them again. Connect, so that you can correct, so that you can cooperate, so that you can communicate, because there's a funny combination. Thank you.
I don't think I can add any more to that. And you know, just speaking of kids coming home, we're just getting information that there's some students, I will not mention the school at this particular point, that have, you know, in Baringo County, they have walked out of school in protest of the school closing dates. As per the Ministry of Health calendar, the official closing date was on the 23rd of December, but as of the 17th, we're going to be seeing so many schools closing. So we will be waiting to get the official communication in regards to this, which will be coming up in our subsequent broadcastings. But for now, I want to bring this conversation to a close. But just to remind you, as you have heard from our guests, mental health cuts across board. It doesn't matter your age. Looking at the stats that you're being given, children as young as 10-year-old are experiencing depression, behavioral disorders, emotional disorders, and consequently boiling down to even eating disorders at the age of 10. As a parent, you may be wondering, ni nini mbaya na huyu mtoto? Na pia mtoto anashindwa, ni nini mbaya na mamangu au babangu? So bring into play the 4 C's that you've been given here this morning to help get you started on this conversation. And again, we cannot exhaust this conversation in this one sitting. We'll be having subsequent discussions to just build up on this particular conversation, focusing on mental health, specifically on our teenagers and young adults. But for now, we want to bring this conversation to a close. We have been speaking with Chege, who is a psychologist and a transformational coach, as well as Karira, who is a youth and teen mentor. Thank you very much, ladies, for being with us today. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Jain Wambui. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.